Welcome back to the Santa Fe Trail Cougars Newscast. This is just a little casual day, or casual me day. So, we're going to go off with the breaking news first. Sweet Potato helps solve Massachusetts a cold case murder after 12 years. 12 years after a shooting and death on Cape Cod, the alleged killer was caught, in part thanks to a root vegetable used in the commission for the crime, according to the prosecutors. On February 27, 2011, Todd Lampley was found shot dead in Hyannis, Massachusetts' home. DeVaris Hampton, 40, was arrested on Friday in Massachusetts and was arraigned Monday, exactly 12 years after the crime. Hampton pleaded not guilty and was held without bail. At the time of the murder, police found 3 shell casings and a sweet potato with a hole in it at the scene, according to a prosecutor with the Cape Cod Islands District Attorney's Office. Prosecutors said they found DNA on the sweet potato that was a match for Hampton. The sweet potato appears to be used as a silencer, the prosecutor, First District Attorney Jessica Lumba told ABC News. Fans of the HBO series The Wire may recall an episode in which a sweet potato was used as a silencer, spawning numerous internet demonstrations to test whether it actually worked. The alleged killer may have been a fan of the show because the police also found a cell phone at the murder scene registered in the name of Marlo Stanfield, a fictional character on The Wire. It's an interesting fact pattern, Alumba said in a phone interview. In court, Alumba said there was other evidence to place Hampton at the home at the time of Lampley's shooting death, but she declined to comment when they asked why it took 12 years to make the arrest. Alumba said in court Monday that Hampton was wearing a GPS monitor from a different crime at the time of the shooting, and placed him at the scene. The gun allegedly used in the crime was also fished out of a nearby lake, prosecutors said. Hampton is due back in court in Barnstable County on April 5th. Now, on to the weather.
Thank you, Oscar. And now on to the weather news for today. In spread weather news, in California again, especially Los Angeles, there's a huge winter storm coming through with the mountains predicting getting up to 8 feet of snow and winds going up to 75 miles per hour. But we don't really care about that. So we're going to go on to the local weather. We're going to start on Wednesday over here, with the highs being in 61, you know, the low 60s, with the lows being in the low 30s, probably like around 31. Sunny throughout the day. And Thursday, highs being in the upper 40s, with the lows being in the low 30s, and same thing probably throughout Friday, and with Friday actually the lows being a bit higher than Thursday. Saturday, high of 52, low of 31. Xavier. On Sunday, the highs being probably in the lower 60s, probably around 60, with the lows being in the low 40s. And Monday, next Monday, the highs being 62, around that, and then 37, the lows, and with the Tuesday, mid 50s is going to be the highs, and 31 going to be the lows. So a relatively warmer week, but with the lows it can get a bit chilly. So stay safe out there, folks. Bye. Bye.
The overseas part of the news, a Greek train with at least 36 dead scores injured as trains collide in Greece. Rescue workers are searching for survivors after a head-on collision between 2 trains in central Greece killed dozens of people and left scores injured, raising questions about the country's poor track record of railway safety. 36 people were killed when a passenger train carrying more than 350 people collided with a train on Tuesday, shortly before midnight in Temple, near city of Larissa, leaving strewn carriages and heaps of debris in its wake. The Greek fire service said 66 people were being treated for their injuries in hospital, with 6 in intensive care units. The country's transport minister resigned Wednesday, saying the railway system of the government inherited was not up to 21st century standards. The two trains involved in the fatal collision were traveling along the same track for many kilometers before the incident occurred. State-owned public broadcaster ERT reported Wednesday the passenger train had changed lanes and switched to a cargo track before it collided head-on with a freight train, according to ERT. Recovery efforts are underway with the focus of the first carriages of the passenger train, the Greek fire service said, and the death toll is expected to rise. And with that, on to you, Jake.
Thank you, Mr. Koslow, for that casual presentation, phoning it in as usual. And now to circle back to everyone's two favorite politicians, your problematic friend and esteemed presidential candidate Kanye West. Causing everyone in the conversation to feel awkward about his concerning statements, sources confirmed Monday that their problematic friend began arguing that controversial rapper and designer Kanye West actually made some good points about shoes. All I'm saying is that some of the things he's been saying about shoes aren't entirely inaccurate, said Lance Harris, explaining that Ye is simply being silenced for fighting back against the dominant forces that control footwear. People are blowing what he's saying out of proportion. He's just got revolutionary ideas on sneakers that most just aren't ready for. Don't you think it's a little suspicious how much money goes to them? Some people just aren't ready to accept the truth about shoes. At press time, Harris had reportedly gone off the deep end by claiming that shoes will replace us. Moving on from the shoe elitists and their secret ruling class, here's X with your sports.
Xavier Davis, and here's what's happening in sports. The NFL offseason is here, but that doesn't mean we haven't had football to watch. Although one might argue no one's really watching it. The XFL wrapped up the second week of its latest attempt at football, this time The Rock running the league, and it's safe to say no one is smelling what he or the league is cooking, as attendance dropped 33% from week 1 to week 2. In case you did care, the Houston Roughnecks are 2-0. Turning to NBA, defense was optional last week, as Portland Trailblazers star Damian Lillard, who warned folks to pray that he never wins a title in Portland, scored 71 against the hapless Rockets. He's the 8th player to hit the mark and joins former Jayhawk and Hall of Fame fielder Wilt Chamberlain in the 70 and over club. Chamberlain scored 70 plus points 6 different times, including a 100-point performance that still stands as the NBA record for points in a game. The other 6 to score 70 or more are Devin Booker, David Robinson, Kobe Bryant, Elgin Baylor, David Thompson, and Donovan Mitchell, who scored his 70-piece on January 2nd, making this season the first time in NBA history 2 players went over the mark in the same year. And in other non-defensive NBA news, the Clippers and Sacramento Kings erupted for 351 points in a double overtime thriller last week, making it the second highest scoring game in NBA history, only behind a shootout between Detroit and Denver that finished with 370 points and a Piston W back in 1983. And finally, KU men's basketball team is closing in on its 17th Big 12 title win and Bill Self's 20th season at this school, following their scrappy 76-74 win over West Virginia last Saturday. KU freshman Brady Dick is only 9 3-pointers away from being crowned with the most 3-pointers made by a freshman in KU history. And in local news, the girls basketball team defeated the Osawatomie Trojans last night in their sub-state match by 79 points, making it the biggest scoring gap in a women's high school game ever in Kansas. The boys basketball team traveled to Burlington and went to overtime and lost. I'm still Xavier Davis, and that's sports.
19-year-old Jalen Elmore pleaded not guilty to charges filed after a school resource officer was shot and wounded at a Kansas high school last year in Olathe East High School. Today, I'm here with
Aiden.
How do you feel about school shootings?
I feel they are unnecessary and done by children who are either A, struggling to find their place in the world, or B, they're just going through troubles and don't know how to solve them.
Okay. And would you ever shoot up a school?
Only if I wanted to go to prison for the rest of my life,
Okay.
which I do not.
Reasonable answer. And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you.
What did you say about me? Okay, well, This just in, a new Democratic nominee for the 2024 presidential candidacy. Democrat Marianne Williamson announces 2024 presidential run. Best-selling self-help author Marianne Williamson, who brought quirky spiritualism to the 2020 presidential race, has announced that she's running for president again, becoming the first Democrat to challenge President Joe Biden for his party's nomination in 2024. Williamson, 70, is formally kicking off her campaign with an event in Washington on Saturday without mentioning former President Donald Trump. She noted in a weekend Facebook post that his unconventional White House win makes it odd for anyone to think they can know who can win the presidency. And with this political kind of things going away, we have a new Republican bill would make the AR-15 the national gun. We already have a national anthem, a national flag, and national holidays, but we don't have a national gun. Some Republicans hope to change that. Earlier this month, Representative Andrew Clyde thought it'd be a good idea to hand out small gifts to his congressional colleagues. As trinkets go, this one was designed to get attention. The Georgian Republican handed out label pins shaped like assault rifles. The fact that Clyde did this in the wake of deadly mass shootings and during National Gun Violence Survivors Week added a dash of unnecessary callousness to his stunt. But as it turns out, this Georgian wasn't the only one thinking along these lines. The Alabama Media Group reported this week. From the Star-Spangled Banner to hamburger, the United States has a number of official national symbols. An Alabama congressman's bill would add another, a national gun. Representative Barry Moore visited a Troy gun shop on Tuesday to unveil legislation making the AR-15 the national gun of America. The fact that the national gun of America being proposed is the AR-15, which just happens to be the most prevalent gun used in mass shootings in American history, I find it quite odd that yet more evidence to say that America doesn't really need the Republican Party anymore. It's not really necessary to have these ideas in office anymore. Well, with all of this, from the Santa Fe Trail Cougars, I thank you and have a good one. Or night, or day, I don't know. What time?
It doesn't matter. Time is a construct. Don't buy an AR-15, kids.